I have Ashita Mehra, my friend here, to read Gemini Woman with us. Thank you, Ashita, for doing this. Really, really appreciate your time.
A pleasure.
Tell me, you have read this book before. I remember, you'd come for my book launch and you'd read this, and
Right.
your first reaction was,
So, I guess true to my nature now, since I read your book, I promptly went to read my chapter and my husband's chapter to see the compatibility quotient. And I was very happy to see that the Gemini woman and the Aries man is a 10 on 10. So that kind of redeemed my, commitment and faith, and just the fact that, maybe I've nailed it in terms of star signs.
was there a doubt earlier?
No, never. But I think it's just fun that you are able to figure out that maybe it's the stars that really pulled you, towards each other, and there's something else other than what we, playing a bigger part than what we normally think it is.
True. Although, compatibility has just been, a part of the book. It was
Exactly.
the whole idea was to first understand people, to
Right.
understand what a Gemini woman is all about, to
Yeah.
understand Uday, who's an Aries, what he's all about. Where do you think I may have completely got you, and things that you may have realized that maybe very very few people know about you, that was caught there as an essence for you?
Actually, all my life, I've been told I'm a typical Gemini woman. And when I read your chapter, it kind of struck a chord, throughout. I think people don't really know inherently, what a big multitasker I am. Also, sometimes I like the way you address the face about that two-faced. I think the reason why most people or most Gemini women or men, I haven't read the Gemini men chapter, are two-faced is because they are very easily able to disconnect, one part of their life from another. So I'm a very different person at work, I'm a very different person at home, I'm a different person at a party, but consistently different in those different spheres of life. And I think it actually helps me, maybe cope with things, maybe sometimes let your hair down. At work, work is work for me, home is home for me. If I'm out with my friends, I'm not thinking about work.
Isn't it amazing that I think everybody plays different roles in life, and for some reason, the Gemini woman was termed typically by the world to be two-faced, and the rest of the 11 get a free chit in spite of doing the same bloody thing that they do.
Right,
It is
right.
kind of ridiculous, and not because I wanted to be different or say something different for the Gemini woman, who I find extremely charming, and I just felt that it was a complete misconception. It was overdone with that two-faced thing, and the
Absolutely.
poor girl has done nothing. I mean, why are you
Right.
calling her two-faced for what? Just because she can do many things? Aren't we also doing the same thing? You're playing a role of a father, a son, working. There are different hats we wear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up, because that is something that I did pride myself on
Yes.
mentioning in a manner of speaking. There was a lot of tips given to men on dating a Gemini woman. I mean, I'm sure you can't go on a record and talk about the various kind of people you may have encountered in life, just generally, before marriage or after marriage. I mean, just men, how they are, direct men, straight men, or, people who go around in circles, don't know what they're doing.
You
saying-
know what? I think you got it right there too, because my husband, I mean, we've been together now for 25 years. He's a very passive man. You know him.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, when it was not his passiveness that initially attracted me to him, but I think for a Gemini woman, for the relationship to sustain in the long run, the man has to be passive.
Anything else that you may want to highlight that, if I'm missing out on anything that you want to talk about, you don't have to, but if there's anything that you think we missed out.
I think the other one I liked is that about her interest in a range of topics. I think you got that one right, and also, when she's seeking questions.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing
The,
that
the
doesn't stop.
encyclopedia part, where you need
Yeah.
to have an encyclopedia right next to you so you can answer. But thank God for Google, and
Yeah, yeah.
we will have help just around the corner. Just pick up your phone, look for the internet, and answer Ashita's questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ashita, for doing this. Really, really appreciate your
It's
time.
been really my pleasure, and I think like I told you, I said when I was reading it, I didn't know whether the book was written on me or am I really.
That vodka
Yeah.
shot was you. Thank you again, Ashita.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Gemini, 22nd May to 21st June. Gemini woman. The Gemini woman is beautiful. Please don't misconstrue this as a biased opinion. It is more than an opinion. It's an observation. Even if she is not beautiful in the conventional sort of way, there is an inner beauty that she possesses, which gets reflected on her face as you come to know her better. And her face, or faces, is she really two-faced? I don't think so. This woman has a multifaceted personality and knows the art of adapting herself to any given situation. If this trait can be labeled as two-faced, then so be it. A woman of intellect and boundless charm, the Gemini always leaves a trail of peppiness and fun behind her. Given her penchant for multitasking, she is usually found to be overcommitted and running from pillar to post to achieve her targets. Having a Gemini female as a friend or a girlfriend is a delightful experience as with her, around life is full of stimulating conversations and tinkling laughter. How can you identify a Gemini woman in a crowd? If you ever come across a woman who has a store of intelligent questions on the most diversified subjects and at the same time is an amazing listener, you can be sure she is a Gemini. At any social event, you will find her moving from one group of friends to another with unmatched grace and a warm, innocent smile on her face. While most attributes discussed here will apply to all kinds of Gemini women, there are two categories amongst them with behavioral differences. I would divide Gemini women into 70% passive and 30% aggressive. A good percentage of Gemini women are charismatic and stunning in their appearance, with an equal amount of intellect backing them up. And those Gemini females who are not so great looking, as per conventional standards, seem equally beautiful once you get to know them. This is chiefly because of their distinct ability to emote. A Gemini woman will not let her looks do the work for her and would like you to appreciate her brains rather than her beauty. They share this quality with Capricorn women. What are the key features of her personality? When women who have considerable knowledge of zodiac signs encounter Gemini women, they usually have a comment or two to make on their dual personality or the famous or infamous Janus-faced characteristic. Through my personal observations and interaction with Gemini friends and workmates, I would give 80% of Gemini women a clean chit on this. However, people who think otherwise have possibly been misled, firstly, because of the symbol assigned to the sun sign, and secondly, due to the multiple roles that a Gemini woman can juggle with easy grace. A Gemini woman can fit into as many roles as life demands, but doesn't think she is merely a good actor because she is usually as genuine as they come. No matter to which age group she belongs to, a Gemini woman is curious. She is the one with questions, and more questions on everything under the sun. And if with this statement you are rethinking of calling up the attractive Gemini girl you met the other day to match your wits against, don't. Curious she may be, but all her questions are intelligent and relevant. She won't settle for anything less than a good lifestyle. A Gemini female will put up with average living only if she is struggling, but her aim would always be to achieve quality life for herself and her family. And given her determination and ambition, she usually gets what she aims for. Going back to my categories of aggressive and passive Gemini women, I would like to say that an aggressive Gemini female would be extremely bossy, forceful in speech, and behavior, argumentative, short-tempered, and someone who always wants to have her way. However, the good news is that the passive, conventional kind are not that crazy. How is she on the following aspects? Appearance. Don't let her dressing style fool you. A Gemini woman is driven by her mood swings and will dress up accordingly. An amusing observation I have made is that she is one of the 3 women who love to use men's cologne if given a choice, the other 2 being Scorpio and Capricorn. And believe me, this is the only touch of masculinity you will find in her. They love keeping pace with new trends in fashion and accessories. They also love gadgets. Ambition. Extremely ambitious. This lady is raring to go. But what actually drives a Gemini woman is the search for inner satisfaction rather than money. That doesn't mean money is not important, but to her satisfaction in what she is doing is more important. A Gemini woman is exceedingly committed towards her work, but is likely to get bored if she remains in one industry or profession for too long. Since she pursues satisfaction, she can move on to another terrain to get the kind of growth she wants. Her need to innovate and be creative can drive her to an either affiliated industry or to a totally contrasting field of work. Her greatest strength lies in the 100% effort she puts in, adapting herself to her new work profile, and with it, she manages to develop a sense of comfort or discomfort in the very early stages. Ego, self-respect. A Gemini woman is governed 70% by her self-respect and 30% by her ego. If you're dealing with the conventional kind, don't let her submissive and compassionate nature mislead you into thinking she can be walked over. With the aggressive kind, you won't know what's hitting you. All you will be looking out for is an escape route. Responsibility. Gemini women are extremely responsible and dependable. In life, there is a distinct difference between how close you feel to somebody and how close that somebody feels to you. Once a Gemini woman gets close to you, as a friend, workmate, or lover, she is as dependable as a 1,000-rupee note. Etiquette. Although she comes across as friendly and easygoing, don't think she lacks etiquettes or doesn't expect the same from you. From a man, she would expect chivalry and to be treated like a lady, and from friends, she would expect civilized behavior, to say the least. What is her approach towards life? In any given situation, a Gemini woman will follow a realistic path. Driven by her intellect, she will always be guided by her acumen and make choices accordingly. My study of Gemini women across all ages has allowed me to conclude that once over 30, a Gemini woman will use her 6th sense, experience and maturity while taking decisions. But this too will be in consultation with her grey cells. She is also a dreamer and believes in her ideals. This is one woman who can be an excellent follower. She is not in a hurry to lead, but given her core characteristic, she can turn out to be a natural leader. How does she score on the following points? Cynicism. Unless she becomes really stubborn about getting something, which we all do at some point of time or the other, the passive kind of Gemini woman is not cynical, but the aggressive kind may come across as very cynical. Their doings only make sense to them. Suspicion or jealousy. This is one woman who is absolutely blind when in love. Unless provided with a valid reason, she is not the suspicious types. She believes in the maxim, live and let live. She will give you as much space as you want and expect the same from you. But if provoked, she can get possessive and jealous too, especially if it is about the one relationship that's meaningful in her life. The aggressive kind, although, can be totally opposite. She can be jealous, suspicious, and under such influence make life miserable for the person in question. Dishonesty or infidelity. Promiscuity and infidelity are touching issues with a Gemini girl. Being committed and loyal to her loved ones, she expects exactly the same or more. This particular topic, if discussed about a friend or with friends, elicits a similar response from her. Only in her calm moments can you communicate reasons for infidelity and get your point across. Being driven by her intellect primarily, she is as capable of taking decisions with her head as with her heart when in a calm mood. Although Gemini women can be flirts, they are not usually capable of deceit or having multiple relationships. So if you are with a Gemini woman who loves you, you should have no reason to be insecure. Hardships. The aggressive Gemini woman is likely to crib in times of adversity, while the passive one will learn from her mistakes and try to get her best out of life. Success and failure. Here again the two kinds would show a marked difference. The aggressive kind would show off their success, while the passive kind would be modest about their achievement and share it with family and friends only. But whatever the type, all Gemini women put in a wholehearted effort in whatever they do. If they fail at what they set out to do, they can get extremely emotional. The bright side, though, is that in a week or two, you will see them back in action, emerging wiser from their failures. Host. Depending on what her age is, or the social strata she belongs to, you will find a Gemini host either calling for home delivery or organizing a 5-course meal. Whichever way it goes, she is a generous and detailed host. Guest. A lot depends on her moods, which tend to swing quite often. But overall, a Gemini woman is not very fussy as a guest. How does she handle difficult situations? In a difficult situation like a quarrel, she can be quite stubborn because she too doesn't like to admit her fault, even when she knows she is in the wrong. But the saving grace here is that she is open to communication. However, on the flip side, you will have to give her 2 to 3 days by herself to cool down. If you are up against the aggressive kind, my advice is to concede or give up and move on. Either she will come around on her own or not at all. What is a characteristic weakness? Over the years, I have observed that Gemini women are extremely detailed and meticulous. A Gemini woman will apply these qualities to most aspects of her life, namely work, home, kitchen, relationships, and love. Add to that her multitasking abilities and her disability to say no to people, which again load her up with multiple things to do, and she ends up being overcommitted and short on time, much like her male counterpart. The passive Gemini would know how to prioritize her tasks and will effectively multitask with grace and ease. On the other hand, the aggressive Gemini would do more or less the same thing, but with the full effects of a soap opera. Is there more to this spirited lady's persona? Oh yes. She has many facets to her personality. You will find a Gemini woman restless and cranky only if she has unfinished business. Otherwise, she is quite composed. You may also find her confused and indecisive at times, but mostly she is quite clear about what she wants. A Gemini woman is more sensitive than sentimental. unless it concerns her immediate family or a loved one. But under certain odd situations, you will find her developing deep attachment to small things, like a gift from an old friend, a birthday or greeting card, etc. She is charm personified. Although Gemini women portray a strong exterior, they are all femininity inside. They would always try to show that they don't break down easily, and in fact, they really don't. But they are not bereft of feminine weakness, and they know how to use their femininity to their advantage, if the situation demands. A Gemini woman is also very adventurous and believes in trying out everything at least once, which could be anything from an international cuisine to skywalking. This attribute also stems from her undying curiosity. For instance, at a party she wouldn't mind having a tequila shot or a swig of vodka, although her usual vice may be wine or whiskey. In other extreme case, she would take up yoga classes or spiritual sessions. The Gemini lady is known for her spontaneity. With a good deal of intellect thrown in, she does of course control her impulsive side, yet with her inability to turn people down, you would often find her making impromptu plans. Given her strong streak of independence, the Gemini woman is usually career-minded. She would like to establish herself as an identity to reckon with, apart from her family or husband's name. In fact, you may come across Gemini women who switch over effortlessly between their career and domestic life. How should one deal effectively with a Gemini woman? Oscillating from one point of view to the other, a Gemini woman often provides enough ammunition for people to brand her as two-faced. But as I said earlier, this is just a way of adapting to situations. She would constantly be coming up with new, innovative, and exciting ideas to implement, and if you're willing to appreciate her enterprise, you would surely earn brownie points from our talented Gemini lady. Since she likes to get things in motion and making her presence felt, she enjoys being in the limelight and bonds with people who allow her that margin. Also, with her being a fountain of energy, you would need to match up to her energy levels in order to communicate on the same plane with her. Though she seldom loses her cool, our Gemini woman can often indulge in brooding and wailing about her woes. At such time, it'll be best to leave her to her own company, giving her ample time to cool down before trying to lighten the mood or trying to set things right with her. She really wouldn't care for your opinion when she's upset with you, and it would be sheer stupidity to invite her not so pleasant comments, since she can be rather vindictive if pushed up the wall. Certain Gemini women are incorrigible flirts, and they would make a play for your partner right under your nose. Though they don't subscribe to the idea of extramarital liaison, they are comfortable with exchanging flirtatious glances and sweet talks with their friends' partners. If you're the kind of person who just can't digest anyone toying with your guy, I'd say, keep him away from this seductress. A Gemini woman can prove to be a bankable partner in the long run. She's there by your side whenever you're in need and will always be smiling to go the extra mile just to put the smile back on your face. Though she wouldn't be too dependent on her friends to reciprocate in the same way, she would expect her man to treat her in a similar manner. At the same time, it would be important for you not to come across as too clingy, for this vivacious lady hates being confined or tied down. How does she handle money matters? Like everyone else, money is important to a Gemini woman too. At work, don't let her submissive and easygoing nature fool you. She does understand the maths when it comes to effort versus reward. Many Gemini women have shown shrewd business sense and acumen at investing money wisely. Again, the habit of multitasking will egg them on to dabble in varied and often risky projects. Another unique quality about a Gemini woman and her money is she likes to share. She won't hesitate to help anyone in need, as for her money is a tool and not an end in itself. She can be quite a spendthrift while spending on herself and her loved ones. How is she on the professional front? I have observed 6 out of every 10 Gemini women to be part of the media industry, be it films, television or print. Her need to be in this industry very likely comes from her inherent curiosity to know things. Being in professions like news reporting, content writing, and research and development satiates her quest for knowledge and allows her to constantly be in a creative environment. On her natural multitasking ability gives her the drive to work as different characters in a role. It would be needless to add here that her ability to prioritize her work and multitask makes her a very competitive worker who is also hardworking. How is she in various relationship roles? My advice to parents with a Gemini daughter would be to keep an encyclopedia handy, for their girl will squeeze every iota of information out of them regarding anything and everything around her. But when she asks questions, she should be encouraged, as it will help her fertile mind to grow in the proper direction. Being determined and stubborn, she can come across as rebellious in her relationship with her parents, but if you befriend her and give in to her reasonable demands, she can be the most devoted of daughters. If given ample space and treated with respect, a Gemini woman can be a wonderful wife. She needs to have a proper share in the decision-making when it comes to domestic life, and also freedom to operate as she wishes within her domain. But as with everything else, she will be good at keeping house, and with her multitasking abilities, she will be a good wife, daughter-in-law, don't want to guarantee this one, and mother, all at one go. As a mother, a Gemini woman shows great balance between being a friend and a disciplinarian. Usually her nature is to give. Unless rubbed the wrong way, she will be a fabulous mother to her children. How is she when alone? Geminis do not like to be alone. They are social animals who like to be on the go and thrive on being in the company of people they like. The female of the sun sign loves to talk and can deliver discourse after discourse, often digressing from the topic at hand. You would find her on her own only in 3 cases. 1. When she's mad at you and wants time to simmer down. 2. When it's self-imposed. For example, while playing the perfect host, a female Gemini would spend hours alone, without complaining, painstakingly checking on the minutest of details for her elaborate lunch or dinner party. 3. If she is in the mood to read a book alone, or is simply looking for a retreat or space for herself. How is she when in love? A Gemini woman is typically an independent thinker, and having dug up answers to most questions early in life, she is quite aware of what she wants from an early age, sometimes as early as 16 or 17. So if you are planning on wooing a Gemini girl, you have a daunting task ahead. But here's help. I know the secret to a Gemini woman's heart, and I'm letting it out right here. To win the irresistible heart of a Gemini female, let your guard down and be absolutely unpretentious. She hates pretense of any kind and is smart enough to see through any games you try to play with her. So just be yourself and show your love, and she will be ready to be wooed. But also remember, she is an intelligent woman and likes a man to be a man and not a spineless junkie. She is rather slow at commitments when it comes to love and marriage, and with good enough reasons. Being a keen observer of human nature and understanding the crests and troughs of long-term relationships, this cautious lady likes to wait for the right moment before committing herself. Add to that her long list of must-haves in her bow, and it leaves her indecisive. So if you are in a relationship with a Gemini girl and know that a commitment is in the offing, just take care of two things. Firstly, be dead sure about your own decisions. No backing off at the last minute, please. And give your lady love the assurance she needs that you are the one for her and that things will work out just right. What does she look for in her partner? The first thing any Gemini woman will look for in a man is intelligence. She cannot accept stupidity or silliness of any kind. Most Gemini women I have met are often drawn to their male counterpart, the Gemini man who possesses similar or higher intellect level. Secondly, she will look deeper for humility, but with the right amount of pride. She is quite capable of getting involved with her type of men who are artistic, creative, thinkers, philosophers, and writers. I have discerned that Gemini women eventually settle down with passive men. Since you already know by now that she is full of variety and excellent at dealing with 1,000,000 tasks at one go, it's also important to know that she is very passionate and can get crazy and kinky, again depending on her mood and age. While she is capable of doing all this, she does expect her man to be equally passionate, full of variety, and surprises to keep her passion going. She is full of desires and wants, and can keep most of it to herself unless probed. Most of the time she ends up surprising herself at what she is capable of doing. She is constantly in the process of discovering and rediscovering herself. In spite of all this, she is extremely malleable and submissive and would put her partner's needs, be it emotional or physical, usually before hers. This particular quality of giving is actually what keeps most relationships alive. If you simply go by the saying, you will get what you give, you can allow your mind to race with a Gemini partner. While dating her, you should win her heart. And if you are smirking right now, thinking it's a child's play, first look around her and count her admirers. You have tough competition, buddy. A Gemini girl is generally surrounded by people, boys, who are flowed with her intellectual charm and are chasing her with their hearts on their sleeves. With such a situation at hand, the only way for you is to match her grey cells. A Gemini woman appreciates intelligence like nothing else. She will never date someone who is silly or frivolous or thinks her to be so. She likes men who respect women and acknowledge their equality. She is not a feminist in the same way like some Aquarians can be, but her sharp mind understands the need for an equal footing in a relationship. On your first date with a Gemini girl, be ready with an updated report on current affairs. Here's a woman who is insightful, curious, and eager to learn more and more about the world around her. If you can satisfy her curiosity, you can pronounce your date to be a success. Your date is likely to be full of conversation, as the Gemini girl loves to talk, from varied subjects ranging from history to war to the charity organization that she is a part of. She also likes smart, peppy talk, so make sure you have brushed up your one-liners. And don't even think of using your wacky sense of humor here. She likes simple, entertaining humor. So keep your slapstick comic jokes at home when you come to meet her. Come smartly dressed. It doesn't matter if your attire isn't exactly the latest thing in, but as long as it is elegant, it would have the desired effect. If you are planning on getting her a gift, let it be something practical and sophisticated. Don't waste your time and money on those mushy cards and impractical gifts. Can't think of anything better? Just go with a head full of ideas and an easy laugh. She'll love it. Remember, your Gemini date has a daring heart and an adventurous spirit. She won't balk at the idea of trying something new, so you can experiment with your ideas and have a blast. Give her as well as your relationship some time before entering the intimate zone. Once you are steady with her and think she is the girl for you, you can get close and cozy with her. She likes the transition from dating to love to be subtle, full of delicateness and interesting intimate moments, but whatever you do, be direct. It is more likely that the Gemini girl will sense what's on your mind. Compatibility quotient. Given her zest for life and quest for knowledge, dating a Gemini woman is fun. But is that enough to sustain a long-term relationship? It is quite a task to manage an overcommitted Gemini and break through the myth of a dual personality. Unless you are equipped with a good deal of common sense, getting along with the vivacious Gemini can be a hard bargain. Gemini woman and Aries man. 10 on 10. Wow. And double wow. This relationship sizzles. The Gemini girl is the ideal match for an Arian guy. An Arian's love for conversation is the answer to Gemini's curiosity, while Gemini's spirit is the answer to Arian's passion. Of course, the Aries man will have to balance his arrogance and ego around her, and she will have to swallow her pride to put up with his super blunt nature. Taurus man. 8 on 10. With the right kind of adjustments, this combination can work out well. Once the Taurian learns to give the Gemini woman enough space, he will have a fun-loving and practical partner by his side and for life. In return, his steady nature would be a good anchor to her liveliness. He can be a dependable partner and can provide the emotional security she secretly yearns for. Gemini man. 7 on 10. Since both share a love for good, stimulating conversations, they might start off on a pleasant note, but then they will have to make an effort to sustain the other's curiosity. Once the course of conversation is run, they might grow weary of each other. This relationship requires more than lip service to work in its favor. Cancer man. 5 on 10. The free Gemini spirit might not be able to offer the Cancer man the love and security he needs, neither will she be able to give him undivided attention. His serious demeanor might put off the vivacious Gemini mind. If this relationship is to work successfully, a lot of adjustments are required at both ends. Leo man. 8 on 10. The sociable nature of both these individuals can be a key to the success of this relationship. With her around, their relationship will never lack romance or passion, and with him in charge, it will be full of humor and generosity. The only hitch here being that they can both end up offending each other's egos. Virgo man. 8 on 10. With a bit of fine-tuning, this relationship can go a long way. For starters, both have an understanding nature and an identical emotional quotient. The Virgo guy, however, will have to bridle his critical attitude, while the Gemini girl will have to keep her tactless tongue under control. Libra man, 9 on 10. Another great combination. Both are sociable and party lovers. There would be enough passion and romance in this relationship to keep the two going. The Libran wit and the Gemini liveliness would only add to the fervor. The only issue that could crop up is they both love their independence and space. If they are in opposite zones and unable to connect, then it could mean trouble. Scorpio man, 5 on 10. What might start off as a promising note is likely to meet with major roadblocks. The Scorpio man might get smitten by the Gemini passion and she by his persuasive charm, but in the long run, he won't be able to put up with her inconsistent nature. She will find it difficult to cope with his demanding and dominating nature, not to mention his possessive attitude. Sagittarius man, 7 on 10. Both are on the same wavelength intellectually, but their emotions tend to be out of sync. Her flirtatiousness can make him feel insecure, while he is too undemonstrative to suit her taste. But if both are in love, these differences can be overcome with some amount of hard work, and this relationship could actually work. Capricorn man, 5 on 10. This one can swing either way. If they both learn to appreciate each other's good qualities, this relationship might work. Otherwise, the Gemini's modern outlook will not go down well with the conservative Capricorn man. Aquarius man, 8 on 10. Since both share common traits like nonconformist behavior, love for adventure, and spontaneity, this relationship is likely to work in the long run. There would be understanding in both, and each seeks change and variety in life. Pisces man, 5 on 10. Not a very happening combination. The Gemini girl is way too pragmatic to suit the lifestyle of the dreamy Piscean. It is also a balancing act between her blunt tongue and his sensitive heart. This relationship calls for a lot of compromises. Famous Gemini women personalities: Angelina Jolie, Naomi Campbell, Shilpa Shetty, Brooke Shields, Nicole Kidman, Sonam Kapoor.